Okay. Am I still streaming at the wrong one? Ah. Am I good? Am I at the right one? Someone tell me I'm at the right one. I am trying to figure this out the best I can. I'm sorry. I am really sorry. It says I'm streaming at the right one. I don't have a lot of my data on my screen that I usually have. So, somebody help me out. Oh, here we go. Ha ha! Ha ha! Here we go. What's up, YouTube? Can anybody hear me? Audio is off a bit. Again. Hopefully the audio will catch back up. I'm going to pull up the chat over here so I can see what's going on. Hey, look at this. Here we are. All right, let me shrink this screen like that. Hey, man, look at Telly Coleman in here. Telly, I haven't seen you in a while. This is, it's good to see you. It's good to see you in here. I know I'm in here for a odd time. I know this is not my usual time, but I kind of wanted to get in here and jump on the live stream. I think my daughter's going to join me. She's just coming in here with some. Come on, you want to join me? She's coming in here with some fruit snacks. So I think we're gonna talk turf with the baby if that's okay. Lily, let me pull this up so you can see yourself. Do you see yourself? You want to say hey to everybody? No? Okay, you don't have to. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of what we are and what we're doing. It's off 0.857374 of a second. No worries. Look at that. Greetings from Augusta. What's up, Jeremy Bennett? What is up? What's going on with y'all? How is everyone? I know this is kind of a random time, but I mean, there is just I wanted to get on. I wanted to get on. I just wanted to talk to everybody. I just wanted to hang out. What's going on, Katie? How are you? Miss Cat Bird Feeder, how are you? Look at all these names. John Kane, how are you, sir? Schaefer Lawn Care and Property Maintenance, how are you, sir? What is everybody doing? So, I couldn't decide if I wanted to do a full show or just hop on here for about 10-15 minutes, see how everybody is doing this spring. I know it's kind of a weird time because all of a sudden we had things that were greening up and then all of a sudden it snapped back to cold again. So it's been kind of a weird spring. John Falcon, I can come on with a roll call. You don't have to worry about that. Lush, I don't know where they are. Mr. Johan, welcome from Sweden. I enjoy seeing everybody from around the world tuning in. That's what I'm talking about. If you don't know, I enjoy travel outside of the United States. I've only been one place outside of the United States, and that's Japan, but I would love to go check out Europe, that's for sure, especially Sweden. What is the turf grass market like in Sweden? I gotta know. Do y'all reel cut grass? Do you rotary cut it? Are you electric only? Do you do gas powered stuff? 2-stroke, 4-stroke? What is going on in Sweden? Bear with me. Apparently, this fruit snack pack is as difficult to open as it would be to break into Fort Knox. Here you are, Lilia. What do you say? You're welcome. She is so shy. Kathleen's Lawn and Shrub Pest Control. How are you? You're down in Augusta too. This is really funny, Kathleen. I believe, are you the company that had the ladybug on your, as part of your logo? And I think it was on the flags that you left in people's yards. Because when I sprayed in Augusta, I remember very clearly your flags and yards. And I remember your logo, so I'm so glad that you're tuning in. I feel like I know you. Nice to meet you. I'm Matt. At the time, I worked for Fairway Lawns when I was down there, so you know. Hey, I'm glad to be on this side of things. That's for sure. Yeah, I'd say it has been weird in Charlotte. Empty pockets, Carl. I know it was here. Like the high today was like 38 degrees or something. It was ridiculous. I wanted no part of those cold temperatures, that is for sure. But, we take what we can get, and, you don't really say a whole lot about it, it is what it is. It's the process of dealing with lawns in the transition zone. That's exactly why we are the transition zone. 24 degrees on Long Island. I bet you can't wait for spring. I can't wait for spring for you. That sounds terrible. Cleaning the garage delayed my entrance. What are you doing, Real O Dad? Glad to see you here, man. Former Lynbrook resident. Oh, okay. Lynbrook, look at that. He was up in New York too. RVA Lawn Love, how are you, good sir? Look at all these names pouring in that I'm beginning to know here. 84 in Phoenix, Arizona. My goodness, that sounds awful. Just kidding, that sounds awesome. I wish it was 84 here, and I used to kind of dread like the transition from this time of year into warmer temperatures because it always took a little while for me to physically acclimate to it. But you know how it is when you work outside all year long. You kind of come and go into acclimation and out of acclimation pretty quickly. Just real quick, I'm kind of curious what soil temperatures look like. 5-day average here in Tennessee looks like 45 degrees. I think I can pull this up on the screen, and we'll get a quick peek of what's going on over here. Woo! I burned my lawn today in my good Nike shoes I bought last week. Is that a good way to clean ashes off my Jordans? That's a good question, man. Yeah, I mean, throw some, wipe it off with, I don't know, rubbing alcohol, something. That might help. I don't know. I really don't have any good answers for you there, Telly. What's up, Green Doctor? How are you, sir? Granted today, windy and raining again. Oof. I love you too, Connor Ward, and I believe you were not first. I think John Falcon was actually the first one in here. 36 in Asheville. Whew. 4 inches in Iowa tomorrow. No, I do not. No, I do not. Look at this here. We're gonna switch screens like this, and we're going to take a look at what the general temperatures are here. Ooh, looks like South Carolina's heating up all the way into Atlanta. Memphis is starting to get a little warm. Look at Oklahoma, especially southern Oklahoma, starting to catch up there. Oh, West Texas is starting to feel the heat. Look at that. My goodness. Then you move into the desert there, not looking too cool. Wow. Yeah, it is that time of year. Look over here in Virginia, hanging on to cooler weather. I guess we are too. Man, oh man, oh man. All right, let's switch out of that. Come on, we're gonna go back over here. Hey, okay. And his comment still isn't pinned. Yeah, I can't pin the comments right now, but after it's over, the first person that hops on, I can definitely pin it. So, I'm feeling, just now that we're talking, I kind of want to do a show. So, how about this? I know it's midweek, and I know this isn't usually when we do this, but in typical form or fashion, if anybody's new here, usually the way this works is it's an open format. The viewers ask questions, I answer questions. So I ask that if you have any questions about what is going on right now with your lawn, questions with your customers' lawns, questions with your neighbors' lawns, ask away, and let's get into it. Look at John Borden's in the room. Everybody give a big shout out to John Borden. John Borden just put in like 15 days straight of sacrifice in Calhoun, Kentucky. Nothing against Kentucky, but he did put in a lot of sacrifice. Everybody show John Borden some love, because without him, Carbon X would not be a thing. I'm going to give him a big round of applause on that one. So, like I said, can you and John give away a free year's worth of Carbon X in Greene County to one lucky viewer, preferably from Mississippi? Trent, I like your style, man. I like your style. Look, I'm getting requests for the roll call. Do we do the roll call? I mean, I'm 4 minutes into it and I hadn't done the roll call yet. Did we do the roll call? I need to know. I'm kind of winging this here. I feel off my game because this is a Wednesday. You know what I'm saying? I even see some questions starting to come in. Like, here we go. Look at midweek shenanigans. My goodness. Don't go there, Mike. Do not go there. Thought today was Sunday for a little bit. I probably cannot give away years worth of Carbon X. I think John Borden would kill me right now if I did that. So let's wait until things are a little more efficient, and then we can do that. Because I'm not opposed to it. I love the idea, but I don't want to make the production guys mad. You know what I'm saying? What kills Dallas grass? I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. Bermuda grass. Asphalt Cowboy, I'll give you two different options. You can combine Celsius and Revolver and make repeat applications in the fall. So you want to do that as you begin to lose daylight hours and carbohydrate storage kicks into overdrive for plants like that. That is when you target it. By targeting it then, you interrupt photosynthesis, which is going to generate the carbohydrates, which will be stored in the root system to help the plant come out of dormancy the following year. So making those fall applications will inhibit the storage of carbohydrates, the production of carbohydrates, weaken the plant, maybe even take it out before it goes completely dormant, but it certainly won't have the vigor and the strength and the food resources in the root system to come back out of dormancy. Woo, that felt good. That's a grass factor answer right there, and that felt good to get out. So I hope that answers your question. What is going on, Turf Nerd Lawn Care? How are you? I thought I saw Michael Hassenauer come in with a question. You thinking about doing some ice banking today? I don't know what ice banking is. You got me again. Quit it. I have a lot of snow outside. Can you comment on ice banking? No, I can't. No. Oh, Lush Lawns, you better stop. Unnecessary, sir. Quit. Here we go. Mr. Israel says, how do I get rid of necrotic ring spot? Israel, there's not a surefire answer to this. There's a lot of things that can contribute to necrotic ring spot. Basically, what you're going to have to do is work on improving your soil conditions to get the soil into a state where you're less likely to have necrotic ring spot come out. Typically, shallow roots can be a contributor to the development of necrotic ring spot. I've heard a lot of people having really good success with kelp-based products in eliminating instances of NRS. That's not to say it's a surefire way. One thing you may have to do is combine that with a fungicide and attack the plant from two different points. Drive the root system, mitigate the stress, and use a fungicide. Fungicides labeled for necrotic ring spot, I cannot remember off the top of my head, but I do believe propiconazole was one of them, and I wouldn't say that that is probably the most effective. I do not have an answer for what is the most effective. But I do not think there's a fungicide that is labeled purely for control of necrotic ring spot. I think it's a multifaceted approach. You're going to have to work on your soil. You're going to have to work on the health of your turf grass. And you're probably going to have to give a little bit of prayer. And hopefully it'll go away. But from the people I do know in Colorado that deal with it specifically, it seems to be somewhere in that high altitude Midwest range. I know that they have had good success using kelp products. And in particular, I know Jordan Chapman is a big advocate of things like RGS. And I believe he has sprayed RGS to success at high rates for mitigation of NRS. Hope that answers your question. What liquid products can I mix together in my 4-gallon backpack sprayer? I have D-Thatch, Air 8, Microgreen, RGS, Humic 12, and Primo PGR. Sir, you can mix every one of those, but I would not mix the Air 8. I would run that as a standalone product or with just Humic 12. The rest of it, you're perfectly fine to mix altogether. If you look at the label and look at the pHs of each of those products, or the STS, you will see they will all be about the same except for Air 8, which is a little bit caustic. And that caustic material would probably shut down some of the bioavailability of the action that's in dethatch. If you mix it with something like microgreen, there's potential, depending on how quickly you spray it out, for it to come out of solution. If you mix it with RGS, that would be fine. If you mix it with Humic 12, that would be fine. If you mix it with Primo, you may decrease the length of time that it remains active in the tank. So as you mix it, you would want to make sure you spray it out if indeed you do mix those two. If you have the flexibility, I would probably run Air 8 as a standalone product. Look at, what did John Borden say here? The screen is done. Got to crawl before we can walk. That's what I'm talking about. And we're crawling. But we're going to get there. We're going to walk. We're going to run, damn it. That's what's going to happen. I'm telling you right now. Jake the Lawn Kid is here. What is up, good sir? Hi from Norway. What's going on, man? Look at all these people around the world. I'm loving it. Last show you mentioned POA Constrictor plus Tenacity as a kicker. What do you mean by kicker? And do you mix it in one mix and apply? This is for post-merge POA. Yes, absolutely. You mix it in one mix and apply. And in fact, I would probably also add either sulfentrazone, known as Dismiss, or carfentrazone, known as Quicksilver, to it. And I will tell you why. Because when you go after POA, which can be difficult to control, you want to attack it from as many sites of actions. So you think about those three products. POA Constrictor, ethifumicate, is going to be one mode of action. It's going to attack the plant at a specific site. Tenacity is going to be another mode of action. Mesotrione, it's going to attack at a second site. The kicker, sulfentrazone, PPOI, is going to attack it at another site. A PPOI, sulfentrazone, and carfentrazone, they're of the same mode of action, so you can use those interchangeably. Unless you're going after sedge, of course. But by combining those, what you're doing is you're attacking the plant at multiple sites and providing an overall weaker plant through your application. When you think about something like POA that is very adaptive, is very difficult to kill, you want to make sure you set yourself up for your best chance of success. And how do you do that? You do that by broadening your attack. So instead of having one front man leading the way and everybody standing behind, you have three front men. You have more of a wall as you approach the plant to ultimately get greater efficacy. It can be difficult. POA is difficult. It's going to require more than one application. I don't want to fool you into just because you're mixing in your tank mix that you're going to have one overall, you'll be able to have a one-shot approach. You will not. You'll have to apply it multiple times. But 3 applications of ethifumicate, mesotrione, and carfentrazone are going to do a hell of a lot better than 3 applications of ethifumicate by itself. I hope you see what I'm saying there. What is the best way to get rid of those pesky onion garlic weeds? The Lawn Fix, where are you? Because where you are is going to dictate how I answer that question. Most easily put, if you're in a cool season environment dealing with cool season grass, you probably want to use something that contains like a 2,4-D ester. Ester-based synthetic auxins tend to work relatively well on onions. If you are in warm season grass, the best thing I have found is a 2,4-D ester combined with metsulfuron methyl. Metsulfuron methyl works exceptionally well on onions. And you combine the 2,4-D in there, you got 2 modes of action, you're doing really, really good. Side effects of inhaling feature. I don't have any off the top of my head, but you are inhaling a metal when you do that, so I would limit it if at all possible. Yeah. I have a feeling all of Matt's streams are going to go off the rails with jokes these days. Manganese and iron poisoning. There you go. Boogers look red. That's oxidizing in your nose, Telly. What is the appropriate rate? All right, Newlawn John. I got you there. I got it. Will a full rate of barricade cause a root pruning effect? Yes, Matt Kosinski. But let me preface that. Because when you're dealing with something like barricade, prodiamine, a root pruner, a DNA, a DNI, yes, it will, but you have to weigh your options. Is the root pruning worth the reward of having a clean lawn? In most instances in turf grass management, yes. But if you're dealing with a low height of cut, say you're dealing with a turf grass that you're maintaining at 185 thousandths of an inch, the root pruning that takes place and the pressure you put on the plant when it's being grown that low to the ground will not like it. You're not going to recover from it. It will be too detrimental. So, in the instance of something like 185 thousandths of an inch bent grass, no, it's not worth it. But if you're talking about 3-inch, 4-inch fescue, the amount of root pruning that's going to take place would be negligible in comparison. So, therefore, I would recommend it. But, yes, any of the DNIs. So, prodiamine, pendimethalin, dithiopyr, dimension, aquacap, they all have a root pruning effect. You even take it one step further to something like Spectacle, another significant root pruner. Lush Lawns, look at Aaron. Aaron. Hey, I'm still torn about Air 8 and how to incorporate it into my program and how to charge for it. I think I just broke the chair I'm sitting in. Good work, Matt. Did I? I think I did. Yeah, I did. Man. Golly. It's a piece of crap chair. Let's see. Let's see what's going on down here. Okay. So, where to incorporate it? I incorporated it as things were breaking dormancy last year on my warm season turf. And the videos I did, and I think I even closed out that last video I just did, where I showed that initial surge of green up of the growth I was getting. There's my daughter. So in my opinion, I would run it spring when you're vigorously growing or about to get into vigorously growing. Think pre-stress conditioning, right? Opening things up, letting the soil breathe, move things around in the soil. Or late fall as you're coming out of a stressful period and you're starting to get that regenerative growth come back out. That may be a good time to do it. So that's where I would. Sorry, what can I do to keep moss from taking over other than raising pH and sunlight? pH may have nothing to do with your moss situation. Sunlight and opportunity would be the two biggest contributors. Actually, not even sunlight, moisture. I've seen lots of moss growing in full sun. So if you have a soil structure that is high clay content that does not drain very well, you have bare spots, you have a high probability of moss breaking out. Again, I've seen moss growing on a pH of 6.8 in full sun just because of the clay content and a thin lawn. So first, to get rid of it, you can use something like Quicksilver or high rates of ferrous sulfate to burn it out. Then you can follow up with something to take its place. Seed would be a great place to start. Or if you're dealing with warm season grass, fertilize it really heavily. Necrotic ring spot. Look at this. If the NRS guy is still there, look, Zemplar or Xteris. Get your wallet out. Get your wallet out. Did NuFarm discontinue last call? Yes. Would like to get Bermuda out of my turf-type tall fescue lawns. I found it online for $300 a gallon. Is it worth it? Probably, but not specifically for Bermuda. I like it more for just crabgrass control. It works extremely well, and it'll get some broadleaf weeds. So it is a mix of... I keep wanting to say Flazophyte, but I believe... Am I right on that? Is Flazophyte a claim or is Flazophyte Fusilade? A claim extra herbicide is Backed by Bayer. Let me zoom in on this. Phenoxaprop. Now, flazophop is Fusilade. Phenoxaprop is Acclaim. So, Acclaim Extra and Fluroxapyr is Last Call. If you look here, look at what Ray says. Acclaim Extra and Triclopyr to get Bermuda out, add Pylex. Pylex is typically what I would recommend. And as more and more applications are taking place, I think people will begin to notice that there is still something lacking. And I think adding Pylex to that would be the way to go. It's a good call, Ray. Very good call. That's right, baby. Is it okay to mix Air 8 with a 3-way Chandler Hall? I would probably not, because 3-ways are going to be more effective with a low pH. If you do mix it, spray it immediately. Do not let it sit in the tank for a long time, or even longer than an hour. Thank you, Michael. You don't have to do all that. Let's see. Is it true that herbicides are only good for a week after you mix them before they start to weaken? Depending on your water composition, that could be true. I can't say for certain. Georgia, tall fescue. So onions, yeah, you want to do something like a 2,4-D ester, like a speed zone, or something that contains like a fluroxapyr ester, like Escalade 2 would probably be a good one too. What's the best way to get rid of Nimblewill, cool season turf? I would mix mesotrione and topramazone. So that would be Pylex and Tenacity. And if you're feeling really froggy, I would probably throw in some Roundup into the mix too. So I think that's really going to be your only way. I don't think you'll get a whole lot of control outside of that. 3 apps every 21 days work. Great. Look at that. Poe Constrictor, Tenacity, Quicksilver. Mother of all herbicides against POA. Great results with PC last year. 3 apps. Look at that. Look at that. Looks good. Trent Burns, not necessary. You push that free stuff for a subscriber in Mississippi through. I'm getting paid through the YouTube. John Borden, if you're watching, click, get it down to Mississippi to Trent. He's throwing money down here. MSM, down with the oak trees. I'm not kidding, man. I've done that a lot. What's up, Mark? Man, I need to reply to your email. I saw it come through on the Grass Factor. In fact, let me see if I can do this and shield some of your private information. I'll do it right here on the show. How about them apples? I'm going to sing a song. I'm going to sing a song to David Watkins, because I always sing to David Watkins. Let's see. How do I spell your name? Macchione. What? Well, now I can't find it. Mark, resend that to me if you can, because I cannot find it. I apologize. I've had quite an influx of emails come in here recently now that the season's getting up. Root pruning will happen anyway during the summer. Let's see. The lawn stripes, I got that. Something like Celsius. What? Eric? Celsius is going to do better in high pH, so I probably wouldn't let it sit in a tank for longer than a week, that's for sure. Oh, look, Brayo explained right here. Sulfonylurea herbicides are not good a day after, so there you go. How would you deal with Kalinga in cool season lawns, specifically New York? Thanks, Matt. Man, that's a tough one in New York because you cannot spray Dismiss in New York. So I think the only thing you can spray there is imazosulfuron. Imazosulfuron is also known as Solero. It is a new product. I think that would be the best thing available to you to be able to get rid of your Kalinga. UT has done a lot of research with it and has had good results. One more question regarding Poe Constrictor Plus Kicker Mix. What is the lowest temperature would you apply? Probably 55% degrees outside. Yeah, rest in peace, Chair. I just wrecked it. A claim is phenoxy. Yeah, phenoxyprop. When would you attack Kalinga? Augustish? No, I would get it out early. That is for sure. In general, is it better to apply pre-emergent at high rate with one application or low rates multiple apps? And will the lower rates help mitigate any pruning? Ron Hall, there is so much different information out about this. Simply put, originally the data showed that split applications had greater overall efficacy than single high rate applications. Now, I want to say it was NC State. I can't remember. Patrick Beeman was the one who told me about it, that he saw in a presentation or something somewhere that a single max rate application had greater efficacy than a split rate application. So it may be changing in that regard, and it could be just due to purely resistance buildup. So I can't say for certain which one is the best. But in terms of mitigating root pruning, yes and no. Split apps will probably have a very, very, very minor, less overall influence on root pruning than a single high rate application. Can I spray prodiamine on Pachysandra? And if I do, is it going to hurt the Pachysandra? APAP Canarf, I do not know the answer to that. It should be on a label, on a prodiamine label for ornamentals. So I will check and see if I can find a label real quick that has, let's see, our label is through Quali-Pro, so, and I know we labeled it for ornamental, so I will say, what is it, Pachysandra? It is not listed on the label, so I cannot give you a definitive answer on that for sure. Let's see, what is the best type of grass for walking barefoot? I am going to say, I don't know. I'll tell you whose yard looks really nice for walking barefoot, and that's Connor Ward's. I'm going to go with Kentucky Bluegrass on that. I'm just throwing that out there. Last fall, I ordered the cousin of Carbon X Next Pack. My question is, when or should I use dethatch in my St. Augustine grass? I'm in Katy, Texas, just west of Houston. When it is hot outside, Vol's getting mad. Gonna win it all, Matt. Yes, Brian Land. When it is hot outside, Josh Miller. What is going on? What is this? Stop. Dude. Aaron, I'm gonna beat your ass. What are you thinking? I need a drink. Makes me entirely too nervous, Aaron. Stop it. Man. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, man. That is way too nice, dude. Seriously, that is way too nice. How am I going to follow up on this? I'm ruined. All right. You want to apply it when it's warm outside because of the sugars that are in it. Sugars are going to have greater overall results on breaking down and feeding the microbial activity when it's warmer outside. Typically, the warmer it is outside until about 100 degrees soil temperature, you're going to have increased microbial activity. So using a simple sugar to aid in the digestion there, you're going to get better results, faster results, the warmer it is outside. If you put pre-em down, then crabgrass germinates and the pre-em works. That dead forever, or could it come back a few years later? If you put pre-em down, it's only going to last as long as it's labeled to last. So, say you put down a half pound of active ingredient of prodiamine. Label says that's going to last for 3 months. That means after 3 months, the crabgrass can come right back. There's no crabgrass or pre-emergent you're going to put down that's going to come back forever. In theory, if you were able to completely exhaust your seed bank, could you stop it from coming back? Yes. How viable is that? I don't know. I will say this, typically year over year, until about the 3rd year mark, I start to see less and less and less weeds in a property when I maintain it. But at that 3-year mark, I know what I'm going to be dealing with every year. So a pre-emergent is not perfect. It's a tool, and typically it only is designed to last a season. Any idea when Pilex will be offered as generic? Really can't afford to sell a kidney just yet. Eric, do you use quinclorac? And I say that because Pilex is as cheap to apply as quinclorac is. It has a high bottle price, but in overall cost per application, it's as cheap as quinclorac. It will probably not be offered as generic for a few more years. I hope vols win it all. Best way to include Pennant Magnum in warm season pre-em plan. April, 70-degree soil temps. Probably before then. So you probably want to do it in March around 55, 60-degree soil temperatures. I would not let it make it all the way to 70. Catch it earlier. So the big one that's going to have greater efficacy on would be sedges. So get it out early before your sedges have a chance to establish. I have a neighbor that is a big UT fan. Is there a good herbicide that I can use to burn a big... Chandler, that is funny. I don't think I sent you an email, but I may have sent one a long, long time ago. I don't know who it was then. I could have sworn it was you. I made a mistake there. That is my fault, Mark. That is my fault, Mark. I'm the redheaded stepchild of YouTube. Pilex comes in a 4-ounce bottle now for $250. Interesting. I did not know that. How do you determine when to use sticker and how much sticker to use? Because some of these products have a wide range of how much to use. So really, you determine that based on the conditions you have present. If if there is a high probability of it being washed off, incredibly high humidity, chance for misting or light rain, that is going to influence your rate of sticker depending on your herbicide. Pay attention to the rates listed in your product labels and understand the more you include based on the rates provided in your label, the higher potential for injury to your turf grass. So you kind of have to take a lot of probabilities into consideration here. My daughter just brought me a tutu that she wants me to put on her. Or she just wants to carry it. Do you want to come up here? Okay, come on. I'll let you come up here. All right, let's see. I have a newish tall fescue, long established over the winter. What should I focus on out here in Northern California? Peg junk, first things first, get your pre-emergent down. Secondly, apply nutrients based on your soil test. And I'm not saying what they recommend on your soil test, but based on what your actual values are. Aaron, every time I look up and I see that $100 right there, I can't help but sweat. It makes me nervous. It is freaking me out. Don't do that. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you. You're too kind. Man, I'm going to beat your ass. So first things first, your pre-emergent. Secondly, peg junk. Your fertilizer. So when you pull a soil sample, pay attention to what you're low in. Even if it's a micronutrient mix. Even if it's a potassium mix. If you know you are low in potassium, and as your nitrogen levels increase, so as your potassium uptake levels are going to increase. And if you're low in the soil, you could put your plant into a state of potassium deficiency. So what do? Preloading your soil with potassium will aid in that instance that as you have that increased nitrogen uptake, you'll have plenty available for the plant to uptake. Hope that answers your question. So apply nutrients based on your soil test, not your soil test recommendations, but based on what's actually low in your soil. I'm having stray dogs digging in my lawn that seem to avoid everyone's lawn but leave huge Christmas presents on my low-cut lawn. I've applied an air pump BB gun, but they keep coming. Any suggestions? Telly, I do not have any suggestions other than a bigger dog than what they have. I would probably start with a Cane Corso. That is horrible. I should not have said that. I'm sorry I said that, Telly. Hang on. Let me check this. Oh, golly. Did it freeze? All right, I'm back. That is the wrong person to pick. I can take it for barefoot grass. There we go. Let me hop on down here. You're frozen. I've probably been frozen for a long time, aren't I? Hey, Long Colleges here. What is going on, JP? Sliding on in. I exhausted my seed. Next year, have Connor sit front and center for those who are streaming it. Yeah. Ryegrass removal from Bermuda. Mow low and let the heat kill it, or spray some MSM, Northwest Florida. Justin, I would spray it out. And the reason being is that so much of the ryegrass has been genetically manipulated to the point of being extremely heat tolerant. Even transitional ryegrass that we have used here in the transition zone is not dying out with the heat. And I will give you an example. On a football field, I watched this thing die a couple years in a row. Well, I actually didn't watch it, but they told me about it. And then I was brought in after they were trying the second year in a row to burn it out with urea. It was 90 degrees outside. They were making weekly applications of 4600 at about a pound of N. And it was not killing all the ryegrass, and it was thinning the Bermuda at such an unbelievably high rate. We had to make a monument application to get rid of the ryegrass, and immediately it began to recover. So I would recommend spraying it out. You can try MSM. I like something like Monument or Katana or Revolver. Let's see here. Exhausted. Tell Connor to stop smuggling a can. Paul! Hey, Matt, I killed a ton of weeds along the driveway and then added layers of pine needles on top of it. Do I need to pull these layers back when I spray Dimension to ensure it contacts the soil? Probably not, depending on how thick it is. If it's thick, then yeah, probably wouldn't hurt to put that down. But, you know, if you just got, you know, like an inch or something on, you can apply it and just make sure it gets watered in really well. Paul, I believe it was you that sent me the email. And we were going to identify some plants you had growing in your yard. So these are great pictures here. Hang on, sweetheart, please don't touch that. And this is really easy to see now what this is. So hang on, let me switch scenes here. And here we are. Let me see if I can zoom this in. This right here is Poa annua, and it has gone to seed, my friend. I believe that's Poa. Yep, I believe that is Poa. It is much smaller than when I originally looked at it. When I first looked at it, I thought it was orchard grass because it looks so large. But now, seeing how small it is in your hand, it looks more like Poa. Could be wrong. I don't know. We'll see. But right now, I believe that is Poa. Let me hop back over here. Aaron, I just saw it again, and it took me off my A game. What are you doing, sir? Hey, Lilia, will you sing Baby Shark? Sing it. Baby shark, 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 shark. Baby shark, 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 shark. Baby shark, 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 shark. Baby shark. She won't do it, Trent. All right, here we go. He freezes the stream and then... No, I do not. The camera will time out. It'll only stream for a little bit before it goes down. So, Katie, stop that. That is not true. Watch your pre-in video. What combination would be best in fall in Fort Worth, Texas? Having tons of spring breakthrough, but right here, Prodiamine seems to not be a good standalone for that. No, it's not. Depending on what you're dealing with, it's probably not rye that's actually breaking through. That's probably POA that's breaking through. And your best bet preventatively with POA would be Spectacle. Now, if you're dealing with St. Augustine, understand that comes with an inherent risk. Apply it early and let it work out of the soil before the next growing season. You do not want to damage your St. Augustine with Spectacle. I know you have probably some really heavy clay soil there, so you don't have to worry about getting too deep. But if you already have a shallow root system and then you combine applications of Spectacle on top of it, that is not going to be fun, sir. This is not going to be fun at all. Thick St. Aug on a cool summer night is nice on the feet. Sounds like a Luke Bryan lyric. It does. Hey, Matt, is it possible to have a year-round ryegrass lawn in the transition zone with the newer heat-tolerant varieties? It probably is, but you're going to have to accept a certain amount of damage that's going to take place. It is vegetative, and it will do well to an extent, but you're still going to lose 30, 40, 50% of it. Just know that. So if you're fine accepting that, then you'll be fine with a ryegrass lawn. Now she wants down. All right, let's see here. How long will Carbon X last after applied? Yep, we're looking at... there's John's gotcha. About 8 weeks. Had POA show up on a teaching green I maintained, Syncor plus Pilex. Oh, that's a tough one. All right, let's see here. Aaron, I don't care if you like it or not. That is out of control. Out of control. Man, did I just get caught up all the way to the bottom? Look, John's got a 10 to 12 day trip to Florida. Georgia at the end of the month. Woo! The Lawn Stripes, Spectrum Analytics. Who was the other one you recommend, John? Waypoint Labs. So, do you think I still have orchard grass as well, or just POA? What would you recommend I use on the tall fescue to get rid of the POA? To get rid of the POA, I would use a combination of ethofumicate, tenacity, and carfentrazone, or ethofumicate, tenacity, and sulfentrazone. That is what I would recommend. Some POA, yes. Possibly rescue grass. Could be. Looks like rye. Maybe not. It's everywhere, though. Send me some emails, Brian. Let's look at them. I can look at them while I'm live on air, if you know what I'm saying. We'll just jump on there and check them on out. Ward Labs, not Waypoint. Waypoint Midwest. I get them all confused. Midwest Labs, we do a lot with them. There's one in Kentucky we use a lot of. It is called, what is it called? Waters Ag. That one. Spectrum Analytics is by my house. That's why I was thinking it'd be cool if I could do a tour, see how a soil test is done. You'd be so overwhelmed with how boring it is. The Lawn Stripes. Lots of titrations. Should I scout my Bermuda on my first mow of the year? If so, how low? Trent, yes, as low as you can go. Do not be nervous about it. Bring it all the way down to the ground. Even if you start to dig into it a little bit, kick yourself, but at the same time, don't stress about it. It's going to be all right. Jump on it. Get it done. Are you familiar with Ornamec to kill wiregrass but not hurt my tall fescue? Yes, Horse Doggy. Ornamec, also known as Fusilade, also known as Fluazafop, is an herbicide that is designed to control grasses. It does particularly well on grasses, and it has become known in the landscape world as the one that controls wiregrass. Wiregrass, also known as alpha grass, also known as Bermuda grass. Yes, I'm very familiar about it. What questions do you have? I will say this. Ornamec alone is probably not enough to control Bermuda. It can, but you will have to make lots of applications throughout the course of the growing season. It's not going to be something you can apply once and be done with. Typically, it would have to be applied on a 2 to 4 week interval starting in starting July 4th, running through the end of the year. So, how long will that take? I mean, realistically, you may have to make 15, 20, probably not 15, maybe 6 to 8 applications of it. And, it can be a little bit of a bear. Also, it can be hard on the fescue. Know that the warmer it is outside, the harder it is on the fescue. Let's see here if I can do this since my daughter's crawling up my back. Kind of move this out of the way right here. Can you all still hear me when I do this? Yes, Eric, I will do a live show on Sunday. I just was feeling froggy and I wanted to jump on today. So that's what I'm doing. If I get into a backwoods Tennessee barn fight, what is the best thing I can do to defend myself? John, that's easy. It's the knife hand. It is the knife hand. Oh, look at that. Race Ornament, apply it with triclopyr or else it could be phytotoxic. How is it possible for Matt and JP to have that amount of knowledge? It's astonishing to see guys in action. Mark, we are nerds. That's why. I think you can add Green Doc in there too. We are intense nerds. John, the best him to do is bring a gun to the Tennessee bar to fight. All right, baby, you gotta get down. Come on. Anyone else need any phosphorus? My soil test showed almost 4,000 parts per million. Is that right, Eric? What kind of test did they perform? My goodness. Lawn ecology. John. How about a year-round turf-type tall fescue ryegrass lawn in the transition zone? Would the turf-type comment or help with heat stress? No pop music. I have tried that, and it does not work well at all. And the reason being is that once the stress hits the ryegrass, it begins to take out the turf-type tall fescue. Ryegrass inherently is allelopathic. And once allelopathy starts to set in, it will begin to eliminate the turf-type tall fescue. Ryegrass is not a good combination with other turf grasses. You can get away with it best in Kentucky bluegrass, but that's as good as you can get. I think you should have a meetup at Rayford's in Memphis with 40s, Trent. That's what I'm talking about. We get down on some 40s. John, this is what Ray recommended for Super Juice. It was a ferrous ammonium sulfate blend with a little bit of manganese with some humic and kelp. And it was a crazy high rate of humic. I did the math on it. It would be like 16 ounces of RGS per 1,000 square feet. Yeah, that was the math on it. So I would say that would be some super fire Super Juice. And while we're talking about that now, and I'm not going to jump into this and say a whole lot about Super Juice, but this is what I am going to say about it, and I'm going to say it now, and I'm going to get it over with. There is nothing wrong with the Super Juice that the other guy is putting out. It's fine. It's a fine product. I have nothing against it. It is what it is. My issue has to do with the way it's marketed. To say it's the best product to hit the market in 20 years I think that's a dangerous way to go. So if we look at what's actually in it, it's 13.6 pounds with a 14.24. I did some different combinations comparing it to other products based on amount of nutrients versus cost, and it's relatively expensive for what you're getting. It does have some copper in it, which can, you don't necessarily see a lot of in other things. But realistically, if you're applying it at a spoon feed rate of, a tenth of a pound to a quarter of a pound in, you're looking at somewhere between 19,000 square feet to 7,500 square feet for $80. So $80 for a half acre, $80 for a quarter acre or less. So it's there's nothing wrong with it. It's just not. And I'll tell you this, even would golf guys use that? I know that's kind of the thing there. Would golf guys use it? Probably not. And the reason being is that golf is going to focus a whole lot more on potassium than what's in that type product. So you may see a golf guy apply that in the fall on some bent grass, but you're not going to see it used throughout the duration of the year. Now, it does have potassium nitrate in it, which may catch a little bit more use from it, but it doesn't have a high rate of potassium nitrate in it. Like Green Doc was talking about, a full pound of ammonium sulfate, a full pound of 20-20-20, or a full pound of potassium nitrate with 2 ounces of feature and 16 ounces of humic and kelp, or something like RGS. That is a completely different, crazy fast application than what you would see out of Super Juice. So, again, there's nothing wrong with the product. It just is a little bit. It's the whole thing about having the best Bermuda grass lawn in the world. It's just there's a little bit of a silly story behind it. Would you say Green County Fert and CX are products the best to hit in 20 years? No, I'm not going to say any product is the best product to hit in the last 20 years. There's a lot of advancements that take place, but it's not to say that any of these single products are what is pushing things forward. Everything is evolving in the industry because there's a need for it, right? So it's hard to say that there's one specific product that is leading to all of it. So I'm not going to go down that road. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's nice, and I don't think it's proper to start naming off different products. If you want to talk about some of the greatest advancements in turf in the last 20 years, we could talk about genetics, because I think there's a lot more to genetics than yes, I'll leave it at that. Yes. I was thinking some Air A Dethatch 02 and RGS. Mark, that is a super juice. You can do some very good stuff with that. I hear Reload Dad say his super juice was the best. John, like Connors. That's way better than my super juice, which is bringing my pee in. Connors to get that quick green up. Soil test on CEC came back calcium 89 to mag 6.5. I'm not overly concerned with that, depending on what your potassium levels are, Ryan. So, you may want to apply like a single application of K-Mag, which would be potassium sulfate of magnesia, Sulpomag, and use that to correct that. But, you're not super far off. What do they say? I don't do the ratio game, but I think they say it's a 7-to-1 to 10-to-1, something like that. 7-to-1, I think, is the magic number for cal to mag. I don't pay attention to that. I pay attention to levels. So if I'm around 100 parts per million of mag, if I'm in excess of 1,000 parts per million of calcium and 100 to 150 parts per million of potassium, I'm usually happy. I'm not too concerned with the base percent saturations in terms of ratio. In terms of their ratio. Local university said it was typical for Kentucky. I sent off another one to make sure it wasn't a fluke. It could be. It's old tobacco farmland, so it can. There's no telling, man. There's no telling. Is summer a bad time to pump the Bermuda with the good stuff, or just spring? You definitely can. So, like I was thinking about from a grow-in situation. When you're attempting to grow something in, you can certainly pounce on it in the summer. I don't know if you remember, but I did a video series where I was growing in the backyard, and I did some really silly stuff with high rates of N and a rotary mower, and I grew it all in. So, You know, my issue with that whole thing, Real Dad, was the recommendation of pound it, pound it, pound it, pound it, but use a mild formula. So it didn't really make sense to me. How much carbon X per year would you recommend for an established Bermuda lawn? So where I would probably use it would be like coming out of dormancy for that first push. I would probably use it a second time leading up to 4th of July. As you make it to 4th of July, I would probably use something like Green Punch or Green Effect. And then I might stay foliar for the remainder of the year, utilizing some iron, something like the Green Effect in PGR or Green Punch in PGR. I think all those would be just fine applied foliar to close out the year. I'm an idiot. P was 491. Woo! Calcium was close to 4K. Not as bad. That's still crazy high, man. How long does atrazine last as a pre-emergent? 60 days, 70 days, maybe. Now, if only genetics can produce a weed-free lawn, then I don't need to water. That'd be great, John Falcon. I think that was the mode of action. The reason why I'm what it is definitely get the education. There you go. Get him, JP. Get him. Get him. I'm just midweek through my midweek shenanigans. Mike, how is it going with your revamp of that room you have there? I know you were putting in quite a bit of work with it, so interested to see how it all worked out with the grouting. Look at Ray in here. 60 days. 60 days. I wasn't too far off there. I wasn't exactly sure. I haven't sprayed atrazine in, oh man, what is it, 2019? It's been, I don't know, 4 or 5 years since I've sprayed atrazine. Golly. What about tank mixing super juice with a little bit of MSMA? Lambert, I know what you're doing, and it's not going to work. Don't be spraying MSMA. I know you're trying to send me into overdrive, but do not spray MSMA. It's just not worth it. You're going to generate, in the event, I'm not going to go down there. Lambert, you know the answer to that question. Woo! Well, let's see. How far are we in here on this video? I have no idea. Do I have any statistics on this? My real time. Whoa! 1 hour and 2 minutes? You got to be kidding me. What time is it? It is almost 7 o'clock. My goodness. Well, if we've hit an hour, my goodness. 50-pound Lesco will be ready to reassemble tomorrow. Woo! All right, everybody. Well, that is going to close it for me since we are moving on to 7 o'clock. Got a little started early. I hope you enjoyed the midweek live stream. For those of you that tuned in, I know this is a little impromptu and maybe something I might start doing on Wednesdays. And I hope you enjoyed it. In the meantime, if there are any... Wait a second. Ben, are you watching the live stream? Oh, looky here. Uh-huh. Ben, that is hard to see in these pictures. Let me switch this over. I know, I'm watching, John. I am watching you over there. So, what we have over here, let me do this. He's asking if this is Poa Triv or Poa Annua. There's a little zoomed in shot. And we look here. And we look here. Look at a little bit of, we see some purple in here. Look at that purple. But you can see it kind of sticking through here. A little bit of color change. I don't know if you can see that on the video or not. But I would say that is, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's Annua. Could be Trivialis, though. I don't know. It's hard to tell in that instance. I need to see it a little more established, a little bit of green. Real O'Dad, I will invite Ben. Is he on? But I do not have I do not have the ability to invite him in with XSplit. I would have to transition over to Skype and then connect it to this, and I don't know how to do that quickly off the top of my head. I'm sorry. I'm still trying to figure this out. Look at that. Is that all? Yeah, that's exactly why. It is not labeled for Dane. I'm gonna tell you like this right here. I understand you can still get MSMA, and I understand how effective it is. But here's the reality of the situation. We start making applications of MSMA off-label. Dane, is this a setup? I mean, surely not. I shouldn't get sucked down this wormhole, but I'm telling you right now, I'm going to get sucked down this wormhole. And Dane, this is not directed at you, but I'm telling you right now. When it comes to what you're concerned about and what you're not concerned about, let me put it to you like this. See you, John Perry. We'll talk soon. There is a certain level of responsibility we have every time we pick up an herbicide to make an application. I do, you do, the average homeowner does, Lush Lawns does, AV Guy does, Real Dad does, Backyard Dog does, Alan Hain does, Jake the Lawn Kid does, Connor Ward does, John Falken does. We all have a certain level of responsibility. And in the event you start taking it upon yourself to say, well, I'm not concerned what the label says. Oh, I'm not concerned about arsenic poisoning. Oh, I'm not concerned about label states it's only for cotton or whatever the case may be. Let me tell you this. In the event you get caught and you shine negative light on this industry, we all suffer at your level of disregard for thousands of lives that will be affected by that. Because I will tell you right now, this industry means everything to me. Everything. And I'm not going to I'm trying really hard. But I will show you right here. This is my pass to do what I love to do. Let me see if I can focus in on that. This right here means everything to me. And in the event you make this no longer worth its weight, I will be an incredibly upset human being. Because that is all I have. That's it. If you think it's necessary to go out and spray MSMA, for 1 second, think about something a little bit bigger than just yourself. Realize how many businesses are out there that do this and rely on this as their sole source of income. And you want to put them under threat? You want to put the pressure on them for doing the right thing, for abiding by the law, because you're worried about your Dallas grass, when they're the ones that work so hard to get control of the Dallas grass at no matter the cost, without using MSMA, and find ways to be creative, and find ways to get it done, even if it means doing it through sweat equity? I'm telling you right now, your lack of concern, self-control, or respect for the thousands of applicators out here that do things the right way is disgusting. And I mean that. People do it. I get it. Don't talk about it. I don't need to know about it. And sure as hell, don't jump into a very public forum like a YouTube show and brag about your level of unconcern for what's going on. Your level of disconcern for the industry. Your level of irresponsibility for everybody that actually cares. Yes, I covered my address, Eric. I appreciate that. So, Dane, think for a second. That is not my address in the description, Eric. Take a minute to sit and think what that means when you say you're not worried about all that. Because I'm telling you, I'm looking at these names in here right now. You get Lawncology, Turf Nerd Lawn Care, Ray 3472, Lush Lawns, Katie James. Those guys would lose it. They would lose everything. Families, businesses, houses. It's all right, Dane. I'm sorry to react like this. This is a carryover. It is really not directed at you, Dane. Let me tell you, there was someone that was even worse. Said something even crazier. And that's what sent me down this wormhole. Schaefer Lawn Care and Property Maintenance would lose everything. But I want you to take that into consideration, Dane. That's how serious this is. Those people that I call out there, they do this for a living. That is their sole source of income. And you take that away from them, you destroy their life. And you know how that gets taken away from us? You know how that gets taken away from them? It gets taken away from them by irresponsible use through blatant violations of labels. It happens a few times, it starts shedding negative light. It's not that it's that bad. It's not that when I look at MSMA, do I think it should be taken off the market? No, absolutely not. I do not. Because there's a difference between organic and inorganic arsenic. And having the funds and the viability to be able to test between the two of those would point to probably a higher degree of safety in using MSMA. So in some instances, I am totally on your side. But you have to understand too, is that when they take it away from us, we got to be careful. We've got to be careful. It's like the same thing, you know. It's like people that are out there doing the I'm not even going to go down there. I'm not going to go down there. I had a really bad one where I was going to go. But I'm just saying, man, just be careful and think before you say things like that. Think before you start talking that way, because there are a lot of people that depend on this day in and day out. That's right. I sold off my label. If I sold off label in pharma, my company would get sued for billions. You know, it's interesting. In 2016, Purdue Pharma did $36 billion in revenue. And they filed for bankruptcy protection the other day. For over application, for over supplying, over prescribing OxyContin. Same difference. Over supplying, over application, off label, $36 billion revenue, filing for bankruptcy protection. Just saying. It's a great point, Trent. All right, everybody. Now I'm going to end it. And Dane, I'm really sorry. I don't mean to lose it on you. It's a much bigger thing. I promise it is not directed at you. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry I directed that your way. It's not fair. I shouldn't have done that. But I feel so bad for the applicators that are out there with day in and day out making the difficult decisions of spending 2 hours pulling weeds at a yard because they know they have no chemical that'll take care of it. I've done it. I know others done it. And we could easily go get the chemical we need to take care of it, but we're trying to play it by the rules. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. It's been a hell of a Wednesday show. I'll say that right now. I don't know. I kind of want to do this again. Should I do another one tomorrow? If I've got time tomorrow and I did one tomorrow, would anybody tune in? I'm just curious. Hopefully I won't have to go down any more rants. But everybody, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it on this pop-up edition of The Grass Factor. Hope everybody has a good evening. I appreciate you all. I love you all. You don't understand. The people that watch my show absolutely make my day. And I would not continue to do it if it wasn't for the relationships I've forged with the viewers I have. Thank you all so much for the inspiration, for the smiles, for the cheers, for the jokes, for the ice bank jokes, because that is seriously, to date, the best joke I've ever had played on me. It was fantastic. Thank y'all so much. Y'all have a good evening.